Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your last grammar assignment in this workbook for the year. How exciting. We're going to have a quiz tomorrow, but I wanted you to be really prepared, and so I'm going to have you do this work and then check it with me on this very same video to make sure you're really ready. We are talking about compound verbs this lesson, and we've got page 168 open, and I want you to prove to me that you can select some appropriate compound verbs. Remember, a compound verb means you have two verbs connected with some sort of conjunction, either and or or. So you're going to fill in the compound verbs to complete these sentences. They chose, we will blank the clothes for the trip to Wyoming, picking two things that make sense and connecting them with and. We will wash and dry the clothes. This one is the cowboys blank the cattle to the barn. You have to pick two verbs and connect them, compound. Grandpa blank and blank the children to dinner. The cattle were blank and blank. Fritz blank and blank the ranch dog. You choose some that work. Make sure they are compound verbs. Then you will take a picture of that and send it to me. You will not do page 169, the one next to it. You will not do that page. You will turn the page now with me to page 170. You are going to complete this entire page and then come back to check it. Noticing that in number 2, you are going to circle this word. Synonyms for the word run. You may not use the word run. First sentence is about kindergartners running, but you're going to pick a different word that is a synonym. Synonyms mean something similar or the same to run. Make a sentence with that. No other requirements other than you have to be talking about kindergartners and they have to be doing something that is a synonym to run. Okay? At this point, I want you to do letters A, B, C, and D to check to make sure you know how to do these sentences. I will read the first one. I will read them all to you. In the bushes, Lucy made a fort and played alone. Suddenly, she cried loudly and ran to the house. Later, during the appointment, she itched and scratched the red bumps. Anxiously, Mom sat and waited with Lucy for the doctor. Start with your conjunctions, move on through your phrases, clauses, principal elements, and modifiers. Come back to check with a red pen when you have finished this section. All right, you are ready to check all 4 of those. Here we go. This is preparation for your quiz tomorrow. Let's begin. In the bushes, Lucy made a fort and played alone. Are there any conjunctions in this sentence? Yes, and is a conjunction. Are there any prepositional phrases in this sentence? In the bushes. Ooh, there's one. Yes, is a prepositional phrase. In is the preposition. In what bushes? Object of the preposition. The adjective that modifies the noun. Are there any other prepositional phrases? Lucy made a fort and played alone. Nope. Principal elements. In the bushes, Lucy made a fort and played alone. This is a sentence and it is declarative. This sentence is about Lucy, so Lucy is the subject. This sentence tells us that Lucy made and played. So made and played are the predicates. They are the predicate verbs because they show action. We can prove it that they're connected with the conjunction and is the conjunction, so they connect. Made what? Fort. Direct object. A. Adjective because it modifies the noun. Played how? Alone. Adverb because it modifies the verb. Are we finished? No, we have not dealt with our prepositional phrase. Made where? In the bushes is an adverbial element because it modifies the verb and it is a prepositional phrase. Check to make sure yours looks like mine or is marked with red where you made a mistake. Moving on to sentence B. Suddenly, she cried loudly and ran to the house. Are there any conjunctions in this sentence? Yes, and is a conjunction. So we know we have multiple elements here. Are there any prepositional phrases in this sentence? Suddenly she cried loudly and ran to the house. Yes, to the house is a prepositional phrase. To is the preposition. To what? House, object of the preposition. The adjective, because it modifies the noun. Principal elements. Suddenly she cried loudly and ran to the house. This is a sentence and it is declarative. This sentence is about she, so she is the subject. This sentence tells us that she cried and ran. So cried and ran are our predicates. They are the predicate verbs because they show action. Cried how? Loudly. So loudly is an adverb because it modifies the verb. Cried when? Suddenly. So suddenly is the adverb because it modifies the noun. Anything we haven't labeled? Yes. Ran where? To the house is an adverbial element because it modifies the verb and it is a preposition. Double check that yours looks like mine. Nice work. You guys are cranking this out at the end of second grade. I'm very proud of you. Wow. You're doing hard things and doing them very beautifully. Excellent. Let's keep moving. Later, during the appointment, she itched and scratched the red bumps. Are there any conjunctions in this sentence? Yes. And is a conjunction. Are there any prepositional phrases in this sentence? Later, during the appointment. Ooh, that's tricky. Later, what? Nope, during what? Yep, during the appointment is the prepositional phrase. During is the preposition. During what? Appointment. Object of the preposition. The adjective modifying the noun. Are there any other prepositional phrases? Later, during the appointment, she itched and scratched the red bumps. Nope. Principal elements. Later during the appointment, she itched and scratched the red bumps. This is a sentence and it is declarative. This sentence is about she. So she is the subject. This sentence tells us that she itched and scratched. So itched and scratched is your predicate. They are the predicate verbs because they both show action. Itched and scratched what? Bumps. Direct object because it receives the action of the verb. What kind of bumps? Red bumps. Adjective because it modifies the noun. The adjective because it modifies the noun. Ooh, what's this word? Later. That tells me when. Itched when? Later. So it is an adverb because it modifies the verb. Itched when? During the appointment. So that is an adverbial element and it is a prepositional phrase. Double check that your lines all look like mine. Did I forget anything? It's all there. Excellent. Let's look at letter D. Anxiously, Mom sat. Make sure you have done this. Don't do it with me. You're doing it on your own. Just double check. Pause it if you need to. Make sure you do this on your own and check it in red. Anxiously, Mom sat and waited with Lucy for the doctor. Are there any conjunctions in this sentence? Yes. And is a conjunction. Are there any prepositional phrases in this sentence? Anxiously, Mom sat and waited with Lucy for the doctor. Yes, with Lucy is a prepositional phrase. With is a preposition. Lucy is the object of the preposition. For the doctor, prepositional phrase. For is the preposition. For what? Doctor, object of the preposition. The, adjective because it modifies the noun. Any more prepositional phrases? Nope. Principal elephant. Elephants? Principal elephants? Oh my goodness, they're marching and very loud. No, principal elements are much quieter. Anxiously, Mom sat and waited with Lucy for the doctor. This is a sentence and it is declarative. This sentence is about Mom. So Mom is the subject. This sentence tells us that Mom sat and waited. So sat and waited are the predicates. They are the predicate verbs because they show action. Sat how? Anxiously. Adverb because it modifies the verb. Anything else that needs to have a connector piece? Yes, waited where? With Lucy. It's an adverbial element because it modifies the verb and it is a prepositional phrase. Waited where? Or how or when? For the doctor. Adverb is your adverbial element because it modifies the verb and is a prepositional phrase. Excellent. Wow. You guys do amazing things. Look at all those lines and connectors. And if you're ever not sure if something is a prepositional phrase, particularly something like this, remember you can always cover up the preposition. If the sentence falls apart, then it is a preposition because you'll have to have that connector piece. So if we were to take that apart and we were to say, later the appointment, she itched and scratched, that wouldn't make sense. Also, if we were to take out, just later, just the adverb, it could still work. During the appointment, she itched and scratched the red bumps. Adverbs can disappear, but prepositional phrases, the prepositions cannot disappear without causing the sentence to die. You are only going to do this sentence about the kindergartners running and using a synonym for here. You are not going to do page 171. Do not turn that into me. I don't want to see it. You've written enough today. But I want you to have this page completed, and I want you to go back one page and make sure that on page 168 you have all of these compound verbs completed. Take a picture, and I'll make sure that you are ready for your quiz tomorrow.